Alright, everybody, welcome back to Major Movies and TV, and today we're going to be talking about the Netflix exclusive series Lock and Key. I'm going to go over the whole series. I'm going to be focusing more on the third season that just came out because the first two seasons have been out for a little bit, so I'm not going to focus as much on those. But I am going to be giving a series overview, short synopsis of everything and what I thought of the series as a whole and of the last season that just came out last Friday. So, starting out, I'd like to go into a non-spoiler review. This show, the basis of the show is that this family, after their dad died, they move into a house that was left for them in his inheritance or whatever, and they go into the house. At first they don't like it, they're upset about it, and then eventually they start finding these keys that have magic powers in the house, that essentially are brought to life by people from their family. Their family is the Locks, so that the Locks made keys that have magic powers, and they start finding these keys throughout the house. And pretty much what happens is this demon is chasing after the keys. She wants the keys, the demon being Dodge. So there are a lot of rules and stuff throughout the show of what they can and can't do and stuff like that, and what the keys do and how to use them. There are a lot of keys that appear throughout the show, and honestly, that is the main draw of the show. There's a lot of different keys, a lot of different abilities they can do with them. And it is pretty cool. I will give it that. The actors, Amelia Jones, Connor Jessup, Darby Stanchfield, and Jackson Robert Scott, the main family there, they all do really well. I like their characters. I like their acting. Some of the side characters, side actors like Patrice Jones, Aaron Ashmore, Thomas Mitchell Barnett, Kobe Bird, they all do very well in their roles. A lot of them end up being more side characters, but they still are important to the story. I will say that there aren't any characters that are really wasted. There aren't very many annoying characters. There aren't any side characters that I felt didn't need to be there. But there are a good amount of characters in this show, especially because, characters come and go throughout the show, so you get this feeling of there's just a lot to kind of remember about this show, which isn't a bad thing. It's good to have a complex, idea for the show. It's good to have drawn out ideas, I guess, over super bland, boring ideas and bland, boring characters. But so, that's kind of how I see the show, looking back now. But yeah, the main cast, the main family, they do really well in their roles. The CGI and effects in the show are pretty good. Sometimes the CGI gets a little wonky, but it's not too bad. It's believable enough. Especially in the second season, they have to do a lot more with the CGI because they unlock more. They find more keys that do crazier things. So they have to really show a lot of CGI, and it looks pretty good. Same with the third season. There's a lot that they have to do with CGI in the third season too. So the CGI is solid enough. It gets the job done. It's not bad. It's just not amazing. So as characters, the CGI and production overall, Direction, it looks good. It is competently shot. I wouldn't say anything like really sticks out to me in terms of direction. It's not like some super beautiful TV show with like so many cool shots and everything. It's a solidly shot TV show. It gets the job done. The writing in the show is honestly, when it comes to decisions that the characters make in all 3 seasons, there were so many times where I was so mad at the characters because they do the stupidest things. And I applaud the show for at least keeping it consistent. They're consistently dumb. Like, I love the characters, but oh my god, they make the dumbest decisions sometimes in all 3 seasons. And it's so infuriating sometimes. And it doesn't stop me from liking the show. But oh my god, sometimes I'm just like, yo, why am I watching this right now? That's pissing me off. Honestly, it kind of almost turned me off on the first season to it. Luckily the actors themselves, I really liked the characters. The issue is they made the stupidest decisions so many times. This series could have went a whole different direction if the characters were written to make smarter decisions. But there's only so much you can do about that. Obviously, there has to be some sort of conflict with the show. The characters can't be perfect, but oh my god, they make some dumb decisions. I'm gonna go into these decisions, especially with season 3, because I think season 3 is probably the worst it gets when it comes to them making dumb decisions. But still, in all seasons, in every season, they just do some dumb shit. Like, it can be kind of bad sometimes. But I will say I have not watched season 1 or 2 in a little bit. I did watch season 2 when it dropped. Same with season 1. But I didn't get the chance to rewatch them. So I might be a little fuzzy on specific details for season 1 and 2. But season 3 I just finished yesterday. So, I got season 3. It's just the first 2 I might be a little off with. But we'll get into more spoilers in a minute. So, overall, though, even though the characters make really dumb decisions sometimes, this is still a solid show. I really like the characters. Honestly, the characters are what hold the show together. The main family is very good together. You could tell the actors are really cool with each other and they like each other. They work well together. I definitely say that the main actors in this show keep this show going. They have pretty solid performances. They're likable. As dumb as they can be, they are likable. You don't hate them. You just hate the decisions they're making. So yeah, I'd say if you have Netflix, I would definitely check out Lock and Key, especially if you're into slightly horror but not really horror, action, TV shows. If you're into Stranger Things, if you like Umbrella Academy, Lock and Key is kind of similar to those shows. Less action. I wouldn't even say that. It's just not as grand scale as Umbrella Academy or Stranger Things. It's very contained to just the family for the most part and their group of friends and stuff like that. But it is a solid show. If you're a fan of Umbrella Academy, Stranger Things, I suggest checking out Lock and Key if you haven't already. Luckily, this is one of the shows where Netflix actually finished the show. Season 3 is the final season. So you have a full series, You can watch it beginning to end. It has a solid ending. And getting more into season 3. Season 3 is definitely the worst season. For me, I think it's 1, 2, 3. Ranking them from best to worst. Season 1 is the best. 2 is good, and then 3 is still good, but it's definitely the worst out of the 3. It's a lot shorter than the other 2, and it doesn't seem as like original as the first 2 seasons, but it is still solid. The actors keep it together. The season 3 is a lot more small scale. They don't focus on as many characters. They focus mainly on the main family, and then some other side characters come into play, but it's mainly the 4 main family members that get the spotlight in season 3, which I actually did like compared to the other seasons. I did enjoy that, but the villain for season 3, Gideon, is not as good as Dodge in 1 and 2, and I wish they could have done more with the series, but I'm also happy that it ended in the way it did, because it actually ends. Netflix didn't cancel it, so luckily it does have a beginning and an end. So don't be scared to watch it if you're worried about it not, if you're worried about it leaving you on a cliffhanger. Don't be worried about that. Just I would suggest checking out Locke and Key if you have a Netflix account, especially. It's a solid show. Probably one of Netflix's best shows still, even though it's not perfect, is definitely up there in their top 10 shows, I'd say. Alright, so that was non-spoilers. I'm gonna go into spoilers now. If you don't want to be spoiled for the series, don't keep listening, don't keep watching. I'm going to talk about spoilers now. Alright, so we're going to talk mainly about Season 3 and how the series ends, but I will be bringing up spoilers for Season 1 and 2 too, obviously. So with Season 3, pretty much, this new bad guy, Gideon, has come to get the keys so he can open up a gate to his demon world. And he has brought along these echoes that are helping him, and essentially this season is kind of a straightforward, a very straightforward thing. There's not a lot of manipulation done by the villains in this season. Dodge was very manipulative in season 1 and 2, manipulating the family, sneaking around, manipulating Kinsey into believing that she was Gabe. There was a lot that Dodge did in seasons 1 and 2 that was a lot smarter. Gideon is not smart. He is a crazy, indestructible dude who can just plow through bullets and everything like that. He's a demon, and he's not smart. He just is strong to the point where they can't do much to stop him. And that's kind of why he's a bit of a weaker villain. And also in season 3, they do some stuff with Dodge still, but not in Dodge's body. I'll explain more, but pretty much the season starts out and Bodhi is like, he finds this time key, like in the 3rd episode, or actually I think it was the 2nd episode, 3rd or 2nd episode. At this point, Tyler is off in Montana building houses with this other girl, Carly. I believe that was her name. Yeah, Carly, I'm pretty sure. And Carly's a solid character. I liked her character. She's like the new love interest for Tyler. But Tyler's off doing that. He doesn't remember magic anymore. Kinsey is, working on her movie, The Splattering, and everything like that. Things seem to be going okay. But then, at the beginning of the season, they find this snow globe. And this was kind of a weird thing in the season that they never went back to. But the snow globe had, like, these women trapped in the snow globe. And the mom, Nina finds the key to the snow globe, or Bodhi does, and they open up the snow globe. and they accidentally trap Bodhi in the snow globe, and the two women come into their world, and then Nina and Kinsey trap them in the broken mirror dimension, and they never come back throughout the season. They're just gone in the first episode. And I'm like, that was kind of weird. Like, they're supposed to be working with this Gideon dude, and they just lose, and they don't come back in the first episode. And then after that point, Gideon gets his echoes, but I'm like, what was the point of that? And then the snow globe is never brought back either throughout the season. It's just a thing that exists. And I'm like, alright, whatever. I mean, they almost killed Bodhi because he got trapped in the snow globe. He almost froze to death. But no, the snow globe is never brought back. It's very strange. I don't know why they did that, but it didn't hurt the show. It was just kind of weird. Just like, alright, so the snow globe and the women in the mirror dimension, they're just gone now. They especially considering the ending of this season, those women are dead. They're gone. They are not coming back. Like, I don't know. But the women attack them trying to get the keys for Gideon. They fail. Gideon then gets his echoes, and then he breaks into the house during Duncan's wedding. Duncan's wedding was cool. I kind of wish Duncan had more to do this season, but it was alright. They focused on the main family, and that was a good thing. They gave Duncan a lot of screen time in season 2, so I'm happy that they kind of dumbed it down and focused more on the main family this season. But so they go through all that. Gideon breaks in trying to find the keys, but gets shooed off by Kinsey and Tyler. Tyler at this point doesn't remember magic, so he's super confused. Which I get it, but I eventually in the season Tyler gets his memories back. They hit him with the memory key, which is a key that allows adults to remember magic, which is how Nina now knows about magic. Thank God, because her not knowing in the first 2 seasons was ridiculous. It caused so many problems. And honestly, that's one of the biggest things with this series is lack of communication causes these characters to do some of the dumbest things. And it's crazy, It's crazy how the inability for them to communicate with each other about certain things just leads to some of the dumbest things that happen. But and it's because the characters literally cannot comprehend what is happening sometimes. Like, they can't remember how magic works, so they're literally, like, confused as hell, trying to figure out how to deal with the situations, and they can't. Like, they physically, mentally cannot handle it. So, yeah, it's, But, alright, so we get into that, and then after that, Bodhi finds the time key, which allows him to go back in time, the time shift key. And this part, I don't know if I like this so much. So pretty much what happens is, Tyler's back from Montana, Kinsey's doing her thing, they know about Gideon, they're trying to figure out what's going on, and Bodhi wants to see his dad. So he uses the time shift key to go back and try and see his dad, but instead he accidentally goes back to when they were fighting Dodge in season 2. And Dodge figures out, this version of Bodhi is from the future. So Dodge from the past latches on to Bodhi, and they travel back in time after the time shift key, sends Bodhi back to where he's originally from, and Dodge ends up coming with him. And then what happens is Bodhi tries to trick Dodge by using the ghost door, but it just ends up with Dodge's soul being in Bodhi's body. So now Bodhi is a ghost down in the ghost world, and Dodge is just using Bodhi's body. I was not that much of a fan of this because it felt like Bodhi as a character, like the actor what's his name, Jackson Robert Scott, he had a lot to do in this season, and it was impressive. You know, he did very well. And I like that the actor got to do different things and try out different characters and stuff. He had to act like he had to act like two different characters throughout the season, but we barely got to see Bodhi, and Bodhi is a cool character. So, like, Bodhi as a character barely got any development in this season. He did near the end, but he didn't really get a whole lot to do during the middle of the season, the final season of the show, even though he's one of the main characters and one of the most important characters. Is kind of strange. It was kind of strange how they did that. They literally just took out Bodhi. It sucked. I would have preferred if Bodhi was able to be in there. But Dodge takes over his body. They're trying to figure out what's going on with Bodhi because he's acting different, and he's trying to find where the keys are because it's Dodge and Bodhi's body. So that's going on. Tyler is getting upset because he doesn't remember anything, and he feels like Kinsey is hiding something from him. So Kinsey ends up using the memory key on him, and then he remembers everything. And then they do eventually figure out what's going on with Dodge and Bodhi. Nina finds Dodge's lifeless body under Bodhi's bed. So, you know, that part of the story I was like, because they could have, if there was a point where Rufus figures out that Bodhi wasn't Bodhi before anyone else, and they get into a fight, and this season, and honestly the show in general, is just full of this trope of the villain threatening to kill the family, like other family members, if that family member speaks. Like, she threatened Rufus and was like, "Oh, I'll kill everyone if you tell him." And I'm like, oh god, I just don't like that trope, because, like, in all reality, it doesn't make sense. Like, Rufus should have said something, because they all have magic keys. They could have fought off Dodge, you know, if everyone knew. And that's why the lack of communication in this show between the characters causes a lot of these stupid things to happen. And it's very weird how it's written like that. And that's probably the only negative I have about the show, is how stupid they can be sometimes. I know it's just the characters, but still, like, the lack of communication in this show causes them to be dumber than they actually are. They're not dumb characters, but they do dumb things just because they don't understand what's happening around them. It's very strange. And saying that doesn't mean I don't like the show. It just means I've noticed that they make stupid decisions. Like horror movie level stupid decisions. Like it's one thing to make a mistake, but these aren't mistakes. These are just things you didn't have to do, or you know, but it's weird. But so Rufus eventually does tell Ellie about what's going on, and then, but at the same time, Nina figures it out. Like, literally around the same time that Rufus tells Ellie, Nina figures it out for herself, and then they all figure it out anyway, and guess what? No one dies. So it's like, alright, so the whole threatening the family, it didn't change anything. And again, it's a lot of, this season is a lot of a bad guy holding the family member hostage and being like, "Oh, if you don't do this for me, I'll kill her, I'll kill him, I'll do it," and then no one ever dies. So it's like, damn, you know. And in a lot of scenarios in the show, holding the person hostage doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. like there's like 6 or 7 of them that could fight off this one guy, and he's just holding one of them hostage, and he's like, I'll do it, even though if he kills everyone in the family, he'll never get what he wants. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. But so they're going through that. So what happens is, in order to try and take out Gideon, Dodge teams up with the family because Dodge doesn't like Gideon because he's this super powerful demon that wants to destroy the world, and Dodge just wants the keys. I guess, Dodge doesn't hate the world. She just wanted power, I guess, is what I got from that. So she doesn't like Gideon. And Gideon is honestly not as cool as Dodge. So there's that. But, so they team up. Dodge takes out one of the echoes using the key that gives them angel wings. And by throwing the echo back in the well. And then Gideon is just a whole lot of holding a family member hostage, threatening to kill him. They fight for a bit, they escape. They fight for a bit, they escape. There is at some point Sam from season 1. He's a ghost in the ghost world. He didn't actually die. And he's been trapped in the ghost world this whole time. So Bodhi finds him in there, and Sam wants redemption. Sam wants to help because he feels bad for what he did. For killing their dad. So what he does is he teaches Bodhi how to use the birds as a ghost to get attention and control the birds, which was kind of a weird thing. I didn't really get that, but whatever, it's fine. It's a plot device. So Bodhi, what happens is Dodge eventually goes back to the time period where she came from in Bodhi's body, which they didn't really explain what happened to Bodhi's body at that point, but it's fine. And then Bodhi eventually gets his body back using a bird. He flies the bird into the ghost store, takes over the bird's body, and then uses the animal key to get back into his own body. It transforms him back to Bodhi, which is cool. What they did was one of the echoes, they tricked the echo into going through the ghost door. So the echo is out in the graveyard somewhere, and then Sam takes over the echo's body and, helps them using the echo's body. Which, that was a solid idea. I kind of like that. It gave that actor that played that echo something better to do. Like, it actually gave that actor a better performance, which was cool. That actor, I don't know his name, but he did pretty well as two characters. So yeah, that was cool. I did like that. So eventually they figure out that the last key that Gideon needs is in this guy. It was Gordy Shaw. It's in Gordy's head, and it's this key that allows them to draw whatever they want, and it comes to life. So all right, they have to go into Gordy's head using the mind key, and Gordy is like this old classmate of Ellie and them. So they go in, they find Gordy. Gordy gets stabbed by Gideon. He's dying, and this sequence was pretty cool. They go into Gordy's head while he's dying, while he's bleeding out, and so Ellie and then eventually the kids go there, and they go inside Gordy's head, and they figure out what happens when someone dies and they're in the head. The head starts like falling apart and shit. The mind. So they're doing that, trying to find this last key. They eventually find it. Gideon's in there too. Sam in the Echo's body sacrifices himself to slow down Gideon inside Gordy's head, but because the cops are stupid, they make weird cop decisions. The Gideon gets back out of the head. And again, this is another one of those decisions where I'm like, I get it, you had to try to save Gordy, but getting the cops involved only hurt you even more. Like, because they thought that the kids killed Gordy, but then the cops just get killed by Gideon. So it's like, yeah. So, and there were so many times where I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, at this point, if you save Gordy, but Gideon gets a key, the whole world's gonna die anyway. Gordy will eventually die anyway. So, like, unfortunately, Gordy dies anyway. So it's like, they should have just kind of got Ellie out of the head and trapped Gideon in his head and let him die. That honestly would have probably been a smarter decision, Or just kept Gideon trapped in there, even if Gordy lived, Gideon's just trapped in his head, at least for now, until they can figure out what to do with him and how to stop him. So yeah, I don't know. So that happens, and at this point, I've probably skipped over some stuff, but this is going to be a long review if I go over every detail. But essentially what happens is Gideon chases them down again. They end up back in Key House, and what happens is, they're fighting each other, and eventually Gideon gets knocked into this portal he made, and they use the alpha key on him, and then he falls into the portal, and he's dead. He's dead. But they still have this portal in the ground, and they're like, oh, how do we close the portal? Well, they figure out that if they throw the keys into the portal, then the portal will close. So they throw all the keys in there, and then the portal closes, and but they lose all the keys. And they have this pretty cool scene where before they do that, they go back in time and they all talk to their dad from the past. They all get this, motivational, talk from their dad, and the dad says how proud he is of them and all that. So they get some closure on that, and then they go back, and then they throw the keys into the portal, and the portal closes up. So all the keys that they found are gone at this point. So yep, that happens, and then life kind of goes back to normal. They use the memory key on Bodhi and Kinsey, so they always remember magic, but unfortunately Scott and some of the other people will eventually forget about it, which I understand, that makes sense. I'm just happy they actually brought that up, the fact that they wouldn't want Kinsey and Bodhi to forget about it. That would kind of suck if they were just like, yeah, it's fine, just throw it in there, and then you're watching and you realize later, like, damn, they're not gonna remember. But no, they do address that, which is good. They do have some sort of, concept of continuity with this show. So yeah, and then, they kind of go on to live their happy lives and stuff. It was a solid ending, a very heartwarming ending. I liked it for the most part. It wrapped everything up kind of nicely. They don't have any magic keys anymore, at least as far as you could tell. So, like, pretty much with this ending, they only had to get rid of the keys that Gideon used to open the portal. So there could be more keys. And honestly, another thing they never brought up was the fact that Tyler knows how to make more keys. And he could just teach Kinsey and Bodhi and Nina how to make more keys. Actually, no, not Nina, because she's not a Locke. But they can teach Bodhi and Kinsey, and Duncan and Tyler can teach them how to make more keys, and they could just make more keys. So, like, that was kind of something they didn't really mention at the end there, how they really didn't give up. They did give up the keys, but they didn't really, because they can always just make more. But, that's up to them, I get it, they can't account for everything, but they do know how to make more keys, so, yeah, at any point, Bodhi can figure it out, because Bodhi hasn't really wanted to keep the keys, so, but, alright, so that's, like, the basic synopsis of Season 3, I'd say definitely Season 3 is the worst season. It's a lot shorter. It's only 8 episodes instead of the normal 10. But it's still a good season. I liked it. for the most part, mainly for the characters. I liked how they toned it back with all the characters and they made it focus on the family more. They really needed to do that. I liked Nina and Josh's relationship in the show. You know, Kinsey and Scott actually wasn't in season 3 that much either, which was cool. They really did focus mainly on the family for season 3. I didn't like how they kept Bodhi out of the season for most of the season, but I get it, you know. It's fine. So yeah, overall, season 1 is definitely the best season of the show. It had the most tension, the most wonder. You know, you're figuring out all these different keys. They're finding them. They're trying to figure out everything that's going on. But then, as the show goes on, and they know more about the keys, and they know, and there are more family members that know more about the keys than the kids, that sense of wonder does kind of disappear, because at any point they can just call Duncan and be like, hey, how does this key work? What key is this? Where is this going on? But then they still don't do that. They kind of do, but because Duncan doesn't answer right away, they're like, let's use it anyway. Like, let's figure it out. It's like, nah, that was, you know, and that sense of wonder does kind of get lost by the 3rd season, because you're like, all right, they can kind of figure it out by now. It turns more into an action show than like a wonder-filled, slightly horror show, you know? Like a fantasy, sci-fi, horror type of thing. But yeah, so again, I like the show. Definitely one of Netflix's best shows, and I'm happy that it actually got a good ending. Some character decisions infuriate me so much. Like, there's this scene near the end where they're trying to fight Gideon, and they're trying to get him to go into the well. Okay, and they have the creation key. They can literally make anything they want. And their big plan is to make this giant robot claw to push him into the well, and Gideon is just like, no, fuck you, and he destroys the well. And I'm like, you didn't think to make anything other than a giant robot claw? You can literally make anything. You could have made a rocket launcher, a submachine gun just shot at him while he was getting pushed into this thing. You could have had you could have done so much. You could have made anything, literally anything. You could have made like a giant robot or something and just been like, nope, here you go. Like, I don't know. You could have literally made anything, and then the well gets destroyed, and, you know, it is what it is. Also, there's a point in season 3 where, like, Gideon has all the keys, and they're trying to stop him from opening a gate using the keys, and they eventually get the key pouch that he has. The keys fall on the floor, and they're looking specifically for a certain key. They're picking up keys, looking for this specific key, instead of grabbing as many keys as possible to get away from Gideon. That's what I'm like, the keys are all on the floor. Gideon isn't supposed to have the keys. Why are you not grabbing the keys? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. That was really dumb. They literally had to pick up keys, look at them, and then put them back on the ground. I'm like, are you serious? You're putting them back on the ground where you could just keep them with you. Keep as many keys as possible to stop this. I don't know. That was just dumb to me. But yeah, no, there was some stupid decisions in the show, not just in season 3 though. It's throughout the whole show. I think I remember in season 1 when they're like fighting against Sam, and Sam has a gun, and the gun like falls on the floor or something while they're fighting Sam, and no one picks it up. No one goes after the gun. Like, are you for real? Like, it's just stupid things like that happen throughout this show that made me so mad. But the characters make the show worth it. I will say that. The characters are very good. The idea is very good. I wish they could have done more with it, but it is what it is. At least it got a proper ending from Netflix. Netflix didn't cancel it. That's the most annoying thing ever when Netflix cancels a show. It's so stupid. But at least it got a good ending. You know, it's a solid show. I liked it a lot, and I hope the actors are able to do more after this, because they held the show together, essentially. The writing had some weak points in it, but the characters, the actors held the show together. So yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about the series. It's a solid series. Check it out if you have Netflix. It's definitely one of Netflix's top shows. The ending, it was good. Not as good as some other, shows. It's not as emotionally impactful as I would have hoped it would have been, but it was still solid enough. If you like shows like Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy, Raising Dion, this is up your alley. Lock and Key, solid show. That's pretty much it. That's what I kind of wish that this show was made by someone else other than Netflix, but I kind of don't. I'm like, Netflix did all right with it. I feel like it could have been done better in a different way, but it was still a solid show though. I liked it a lot. Definitely one of Netflix's best shows. So that's my review for Lock and Key. If you have your own thoughts on the series or the final season, let me know in the comments below. I've been talking for a bit. My throat is dead. So, I'm going to end it here. Everyone have a good day.